I think it's time we make another video on DK Metcalf. And what better topic than the wide receivers taken before him in the draft? It's a fun idea to examine, especially when a player like Metcalf figured he was gonna be drafted higher than he actually was. Then he had to watch as 63 players, including 8 wide receivers, had their name called before him. Since then, all Metcalf has done is impress in the NFL. Just like his quarterback, he's exceeded draft expectations and pretty much put any remaining doubters to bed after an impressive performance over the reigning Defensive Player of the Year in Stephon Gilmore. In this video, we're going to focus on the other guys. How have they done in the NFL, and were they worth drafting with a player like Metcalf on the board? I've seen this video type around YouTube for a while and actually always wanted to make one. It's kind of like the NFL Films The Brady 6 documentary, going over the 6 quarterbacks taken before Tom Brady. So in this video, we're gonna do the Metcalf 8. There actually wasn't a wide receiver taken in the 2019 NFL Draft until 25th overall. If you remember, this draft was all about the 2 guys at the top. A potential franchise quarterback in Kyler Murray, who went on to win Offensive Rookie of the Year with the Cardinals, and a defense-altering defensive end in Nick Bosa, who would go on to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year with the Niners. Then 23 picks later, Marquise Hollywood Brown was taken by the Ravens. Let's just say NFL teams weren't going to let another Brown fall in the draft after they let his cousin Antonio Brown fall all the way to the 6th round. And for the Ravens, well, Marquise actually once played against Lamar Jackson and Pop Warner. Still, despite all the talent, he didn't receive any D1 offers. So after a year in community college, he committed to Oklahoma. In his 2 years there, he took off with over 1,000 yards in each season, and so he became one of the top options for a deep threat in the draft. In the NFL, he's made quite the splash so far, helping the Ravens create one of the most explosive offenses in the entire league. Next up, we have the only other receiver taken in the first round, N'Keal Harry. And I'll say this, despite some glimpses of potential, Patriots fans aren't too thrilled with this pick, especially when you consider some of the receivers taken after him. Harry was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, and at Arizona State he did show some serious athleticism, enough to make Bill Belichick take his first ever first-round wide receiver. He battled some injury problems his first year, but certainly underwhelmed when he did actually play. Now, there is an argument to remain patient with Harry, and that's because rookie wide receivers rarely do well in their first year in the Patriots system. My problem with him so far in his career is when he does get open, he just seems to go down too easily and doesn't seem to fight very well for 50-50 balls like a physical receiver should. Coming out of South Carolina, Deebo Samuel came with an injury risk tag. But the 49ers were willing to take that risk, and I'd say it paid off. Samuel can stretch defenses and found himself paired with a great offensive mind in Kyle Shanahan, who knew exactly how to get his new receiver integrated right away. As a result, Samuel tallied up over 800 yards in his rookie season. But the injury bug came back to bite, as he started this year on injured reserve, and it seems like the injury bug has spread throughout the Niners locker room as well. If you remember before the 2019 draft, AJ Brown was actually the one who tweeted out the viral photo of him and Metcalf, saying they were going to be bigger than college teammates Odell and Jarvis Landry. Of course, Brown and Metcalf both attended Ole Miss together, and although Metcalf got the majority of the attention from this photo, me oh my, is AJ Brown also an absolute beast or what? As part of the Titans' offensive resurgence, he gained over 1,000 yards And I should also mention he scored 8 touchdowns as well. He's just a fast, physical receiver with good hands who can create some home run plays. And coming from the same school, the Titans chose him over Metcalf. I mean, you can't really go wrong there, right? Mecole Hardman was a 5-star recruit out of high school, but in college he didn't quite have the off-the-charts offensive production you might have been expecting. He did, however, have plenty of splash on special teams, and in the combine he ran a 4.33 40 time, which tied Metcalf as the second fastest time in this wide receiver draft class. At 56 overall, the Chiefs drafted him, so he immediately got to make some noise in an Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes offense, and he quickly became one of the best return specialists in the NFL, which in return meant he was selected to the Pro Bowl as a rookie. And he's the only player on this list who can say they've won a Super Bowl, so Hard Man has got the hard wear. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was the second of back-to-back receivers taken at 56 and 57. At Stanford, he was the number 1 threat to score on that offense, as he was consistently able to just post up defensive backs. I really enjoyed watching him play in college, but it was still somewhat surprising to hear his name called in the second round by the Eagles. In the NFL, the DBs are just bigger and stronger, and his signature post-up move just isn't working like it used to. He apparently had a good camp, but has nothing to show for it so far this year. In his career so far, he has 169 yards. In Metcalf's playoff game last year against the Eagles, he had 160 yards. So Eagles fans sat there and watched as the man they passed on absolutely carved them up. After a big senior year at The Ohio State, Paris Campbell tied with another receiver who we're about to get to after for the fastest 40 time in the draft. He was taken by the Colts, but he rarely got to show his speed as he dealt with numerous injuries. Then this year, there was some serious hype about him becoming Phillip Rivers' new slot receiver, and he looked good in his first game, but a week later he suffered a knee injury that will keep him out indefinitely. So you can't fault him for it, but it's been a pretty brutal way to begin a career. In total, he has 198 yards and 1 touchdown to his name. And finally, Andy Isabella was the 8th and final receiver taken before Metcalf. He was also the 5th taken within 15 picks of him, as the second round just had a flurry of receivers go. Coming out of UMass, one of the worst FBS teams in the nation, Andy Isabella kind of came out of nowhere. I say kinda because he did end up leading the nation in receiving yards in 2018, but you know, it isn't quite a Power 5 schedule. Once at the NFL Combine, though, he started to make a name for himself as he tied Campbell with a 4.31 40 time. In the NFL, you're more likely to see him make a play as a returner than on offense, but he can occasionally hit the Jets and make a big play. Finally, 2 picks later at 64th overall, we have DK Metcalf. He and his old teammate A.J. Brown from the viral picture are the only 2 receivers on this list to have eclipsed 1,000 yards so far in their careers. And Metcalf has the edge over everyone in terms of touchdowns, and as I mentioned before, he destroyed the Eagles in the playoffs. Sure, he's got Russell Wilson, but if you watch this guy play, you know with that size, speed, and body control, he'd succeed anywhere. After Metcalf, there are certainly some other notable receivers in this draft class as well. Deontay Johnson to the Steelers in the 3rd round, Terry McLaurin to the football team in the 3rd round, Hunter Renfrow to the Raiders in the 5th round.
Impossible. Hunter Renfrow is still playing at Clemson.
And Darius Slayton to the Giants, also in the 5th round. It's still really early in all these careers, so I'm not even going to attempt to rank these guys. But feel free to kill each other in the comments over it.